Go ahead and call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Mayor Calvin.
Here.
Councilmember Fagerly.
Here.
Maskey.
Here.
Schwantes.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
Plowman.
Here.
Osmus.
Here.
Alvarado.
Here.
9 present, 0 absent.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any proposed additions or deletions to the agenda? We'll move item number 8 to the next item on the agenda, followed by continuation of committee structure discussion, City Hall Task Force members, designation of individuals to invest in Wilmer board and the project areas, and a tiny house discussion, followed by the agenda as presented.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the agenda as amended. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. That motion does carry. First item on the agenda is recognition of the retirement of Mr. Bruce Peterson, the Director of Planning and Development Services. Mr. Holland.
Bruce, if you want to come on up.
How many of you know who I'm talking about when I say tonight I come here with a heavy heart? Who knows who I'm talking about? Do you know? Yes. Who is it?
I believe that was Mr. Reagan.
Lyndon Johnson. Lyndon Johnson. I'm that old. I'm sorry. But tonight we do come here with a heavy heart, but with a glad heart also, because this is a recognition of somebody that has devoted his life, really, to this community. Him and his wife, who is also here tonight. Thank you for coming, and your daughter. And we appreciate their family over 33 years in this community. And so, really, you cannot put into words how many nights, how many weekends, how many days he's traveled around the country on behalf of the city of Wilmer, the many hours, the people that he has mentored. The airport comes to mind. That was 20 years ago. And look, he's still here. I mean, it's just amazing the litany of things that he has accomplished with our industrial park, working with the industries here within the community, working with community leaders, being part of decisions, participating in decisions that not only affected him during his lifetime here, but will affect generations for the next 50 years. And so that's an accomplishment that not everybody can say that they were able to do. And so with that, I've only worked with Bruce a couple of years now, but I really appreciate all the work that he's done while I've been here, and the cooperation, all the wisdom that he's passed on, and he's like a living encyclopedia. Whenever I needed to know something, he would know exactly where it was at, and so I really appreciate that. Tonight, we have a plaque that we'd like to present to him. We have a certificate that basically reads, and I think it sums it all up, that his hard work and effort has made Wilmer a great community now and for future generations. And so I want to give that to you. And then also, this is a gift card from the employees and from the city that you can spend any way you want. So you don't have to tell your wife how much that is, but
thank you.
You're welcome. And then maybe get a photo here of us with the plaque that you can put on your wall. And with that, maybe we could have a round of applause, and then you can say a few things.
Thank you. I appreciate the chance for rebuttal. It has been a long run. It's been mostly a good run. I was doing some math today, about 800 council meetings and probably 500 to 600 planning commission meetings over the last 33 years. And a couple things I'd just like to mention. I've had the opportunity to work with some good councils. I'm appreciative for that. I've developed some great relationships with developers and contractors that will last well beyond my years with the city. And overall, I would like to think I had a positive impact on the community. The bottom line is that this city employs some of the finest people I've ever been associated with. And I hope the council and the citizens see that, respect those employees for the treasures that they are and for what they do for this city. You've got staff that is incomparable. I've worked in a number of different governmental units, and the people you've got at waste treatment, engineering, police, public works, the fire department, down the line, they excel. And they are good people. Most of all, I want to thank my wife, Carla, and my family. Thank you, Mallory, for coming tonight. My son's in Montana. He's not here. Without their understanding and support, it's not possible to do the kind of work that I've done, and I wouldn't have been able to give the job the amount of time I was able to if they didn't understand what was involved in what I did every day. So thank you. And thank you to the council. Appreciate it.
Don't get off that easy, please. Council members, anybody have any comments they wish to make? Councilmember Fagerly, followed by Schwantes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've worked with Bruce for 26 years, and it's been an honor and a pleasure. We didn't always agree, but we got things done. And I remember coming to the city of Wilmer. I think you were up in Morris, Stevens County, or was it Litchfield?
Well, I came from Litchfield. Yeah.
Okay, you were up in Morris too,
I
though.
worked in Morris.
Yeah.
With a stint in Faribault and Rice County in between there.
Okay, but I remember, yeah, I was so happy to have you coming back home to Wilmer where you grew up, and a few years younger than me, but I remember you in grade school. So
Thanks, Rick.
thank you very much.
Councilmember Schwantes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bruce, you and I worked together at the Economic Development Commission, and I just truly appreciated the professionalism, the knowledge. You were always a friend and a confidant. I came to you sometimes when there were some issues that were pretty tough to deal with, and you worked behind the scenes to take care of some of those items. But I don't believe there is anyone else in this city that knows it like you do. The infrastructure that is here, the businesses that you help to bring to this community. I hope that when you drive down the streets of the city of Wilmer, that you take note of, I assisted with this company and this one and that one. I mean, your name is all over this community and the projects that you've worked on. So I just want to thank you. I appreciate the work that you did from the city's point of view, but I certainly appreciated your friendship all these years. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Best wishes.
Bruce, I'm sorry, Councilmember Paulman.
Thank you. I think I can speak on behalf of all of us. The city's losing a great asset here. Finding somebody to fill this position is going to be difficult, and it's probably going to be something, a task that is going to take a lot of time, because there's been a lot of time that's elapsed and gone by in Bruce's career, and the knowledge that's been attained over those years. The thing that sticks out to me the most, and I'm only 4 going 5 years in, but it meant the most to me, I think, when I first started on the council. I didn't know much about the structure and all that stuff. And what I really appreciated the most were those first community development committee meetings and whatnot. Not only just going according to the meeting's protocol and whatnot, but getting answers that made sense and hearing from Bruce, not always the answer that we wanted or the answer that was pretty, but the honest, truthful answer. And I believe it helped me develop a sense for, hey, we got to do what's right, and we got to seek the truth, and we got to go for the facts, and we got to work within those confines. And it helped really establish, I think, what it means to have focus and what it means to have goals, and then not only to build that knowledge, but to retain the knowledge about how this city works and the different fundamentals and the different processes and everything that goes by. And I know that any process or project that's gone through that, that you've been a part of, I've learned something from each one of those, and it's stuck with me, and it will continue to. And so sad to see you go. I wish there was some way I could convince you otherwise, but that is what it is. But I do mean that the city's losing a great asset, and we appreciate all of your time and years.
Thanks, Andrew. It's time.
Understandable.
Bruce, when I came to the city in 2000, you were one of the first guys that met me at the door, shook my hand, and said, "You're going to love working here." They've been good years. You were a mentor to me. I'm where I'm at today because of you and your leadership, the wisdom that you've shared with me personally, with my family, the friendship that we've had. Carla, for all of the sacrifices you've made. Those sacrifices were not easy. There were very, very tough nights when Bruce would come home late at night and have had a frustrating day, and you were the shoulder he cried on. I know that, and we love you for that. Mallory, when you worked at the fire station, you were always a firecracker. You had the best interests of the city at heart. We heard some of the inside stories about Dad. Those were kind of fun to share. I won't share any of those tonight, but thank you also. And Bruce, when we were talking a couple weeks ago, when you said, I want to spend time with my grandkids. And, you have a lot of grandkids now, or you have a couple grandkids now. And, that's a blessing. You've worked hard. You have came in, you did the work. The community of Wilmer is the footprint that you've left. And I can only echo what our previous council members have said, but you have truly left a legacy in Wilmer. And all we have to do is look out through this window and see Midwest Technology Campus, and it wouldn't be here without your tenacity, without your vision, without your gift of word, of saying the right thing at the right time to bring those players to the table, and you know just exactly what I'm talking about, to make that project happen. And that's one of many, many projects that you made happen that would not have happened without your wisdom, your gift of the language, and saying the right thing at the right time. So you're going to truly be missed. You have been a tremendous asset to this community, and like you said, it's now time to move on to the next chapter and enjoy your retirement. You've earned it. You've worked hard for it, and there's no looking back. Just put your head down, throw your shoulders back, and enjoy your retirement. It's well deserved. Let's give him another round of applause. We adjusted the agenda just a bit so your family didn't have to stick around any longer than they needed to. So, and I guess if I would have really been thinking, I would have moved everything forward so you could have left now, but I didn't think that far ahead, so I apologize for that. Next on the agenda is continuation of committee structure discussion, City Hall task force members, and that process. So, Mr. Holland.
Mayor and council, I just make the recommendation that we, per our discussion, have someone make a motion to approve the committee structure and what nights that and/or flexibility we will have with those meetings.
Council, do you want to make that in one motion, or do you want to break that into three motions? I think it might be easier if we made it into three motions. One would be establishing the committee structures for the 5 different committees that we have set forth there.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to forward the Labor Committee consisting of Councilmember Meske, Alvarado, Schwantes, Davis with the Human Resources Director. Finance will be Councilmember Osmus, Plowman, Fagerly, Nelson with the Finance Director. Community Development will be Schwantes, Davis, Fagerly, Meske with City Planning Development Director. Public Works, Public Safety will be Plowman, Osmus, Alvarado, Nelson, with the Fire and Police Chiefs, City Engineer, and Park and Recreation Director. And the City Hall Task Force will be the Mayor, City Administrator, Osmus, Alvarado, Meske, Swantis, and the City Planner, Sarah Swedberg. Discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next would be to have the fifth Mondays of the 4 months, the fifth Mondays of the month, set as many retreats that will be held at the county office building at 5:15 PM.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. That motion carries as well. Next is to hold the committee meetings at 5:15, hold, I'm going to see if I get this right now, hold labor and community development meetings on the second and third Monday, and, I'm sorry, second and fourth Monday, and the finance and public works meetings will meet and set their day and bring it back to the council for when they're going to meet. I believe that was the consensus.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Councilmember Meske.
I know we agreed on, I'm not going to try to mess that up, but we didn't define when that finance and we're going to meet in the first place to set those meetings.
Correct.
Are they going to do that shortly so we have those for next week? Because it was my understanding that we're going to start meeting next week. So that those two committees need to get that date set out so we can send it out to the public.
Correct. My understanding would be is that those committee members would meet, give that direction to the administrator, and then he would forward that out for when that meeting would be held, and then the city clerk would notice that meeting.
Okay. So as long as they're all set for next week and everybody, the public knows when those meetings are.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. That motion does carry. Next is to designate individuals to the Invest in Wilmer board and the project areas. Mr. Holland.
Mayor, make the recommendation that we make a motion, have a council member make a motion designating those individuals to the Invest in Wilmer board, and in particular, Mr. Bob Poe as the business representative and Mr. Dennis Anderson as the citizen representative, and then also to approve the chart as designed with the city council at the top. Underneath would be the Park and Rec Board, and then the Invest in Wilmer Board, and then lastly, the 6 project areas or / subcommittees. And also, just as a note to the mayor, I did put this out on the radio today that we will be advertising and posting this on our website and soliciting community members to be part of this projects. But I would request that we make a motion to approve.
Could you just read off the members of the steering committee and then each of the subgroups, please, as the council chair, or council representative, not chair, but the council representative?
I don't think I have. Do we have the Invest in Wilmer complete list? I don't think we have the complete list in the car.
On the car?
We don't have that. I don't have that complete list, and especially with the Invest in Wilmer board, but I will try to remember those names if you may help me. But I know Mary is here tonight, Mary Swatsky, and Tony Amon, Matt Dawson, and John.
Conold.
No?
Conold.
And then we have Sean, representing the council, be Sean Meske and Councilmember Audrey Nelson. Then the ex officio members would be the mayor and myself. On the projects would be Julie Osmus with the community center, Kathy Swantis with stormwater projects, Councilmember Fernando Alvarado for Robbins Island, Councilmember Vicki Davis for the event center, Councilmember Rick Fagerly for the Swanson Field, and Councilmember Andrew Plowman for the athletic fields.
Entertain that motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. That motion does carry. Next is a discussion on a tiny house. The city of Wilmer acquired a tiny house in 2017 that was going to be used within our community. The need within our community was not, did not come to fruition. And there is a request from Neighbors to Friends in St. Cloud. They have somebody that can move into that tiny house. And so I've asked the city attorney to kind of explain how we would have to go forward with that process, having staff develop the verbiage. So, City Attorney Scott.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. If the council desires to move forward with that proposal, I would recommend they pass a resolution to enter into an agreement to transfer title to the city's tiny house to Neighbors to Friends, and authorize the mayor and city administrator to execute all documentation necessary to accomplish the transfer, subject to city staff and attorney review and approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to transfer the title for the tiny house to Neighbors to Friends in St. Cloud. Discussion. Councilmember Nelson.
I think it would be appropriate for us to see if they could not reimburse us, or at least the advantage, since the title has been paid for another year, to reimburse us for the expenses that we have. I realize it's a not-for-profit, but it's leaving the community, and if they have an opportunity to pay for that, I think it would be appropriate. I can offer that as an amendment, if anyone else feels that way.
I would second that.
There's an amendment to the motion that would request the Neighbors to Friends to reimburse the city for expenses. Additional discussion. Councilmember Alvarado.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Did we have a dollar figure approximate on that?
It was less than $600. It was between $500 and $600.
That was the figure you talked about earlier.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember
Mess.
Meske.
Yeah. I think the amount was like 547, but I mean, we had to license this tiny house anyway. So I mean, whatever's remaining on it's fine, but it's my understanding that they're going to retrieve this tiny house at their expense as well. So I would say, just as a caveat, I mean, if you can recoup something as far as what's remaining on the licensure, that's fine. But when we had a responsibility to license it, I think that would be unrealistic for us to ask them to pay for what we needed to do. I have no problem getting the tiny house into somebody that can use it, but this is a nonprofit organization, and this is going to go to something good. And they're picking it up, and so if you are limiting the scope of what you think you're going to get for this tiny house, I would be more comfortable with that, especially what they may benefit from what's remaining on the licensure. But the entire licensure, we were required to do that. That was part of our obligation with the tiny house. So let's give some discretion in what kind of dollars that you think we can recover. I mean, within reason.
I'm going to put the city clerk on the spot. She'd given me the numbers, but I didn't bring it with me. But I think the license for 2019, do you remember what that was? It was not.
It's $21
$21. So
Donated.
for the license tabs for 2019.
Councilmember Fagerly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So what is this considered, a trailer, a manufactured house, or what kind of a license do they need?
It is licensed as a recreational trailer.
Okay. So once we transfer title, won't they have to license that, or can they continue to use our license?
It will stay in force for 2019. You know, when they renew the tabs for 2020, you know, that will be their issue with DMV, I guess. But that's, I had to provide photos and everything of the trailer, the dimensions, and that is how the state licensed it.
Because normally when you sell a vehicle or a trailer, you're supposed to take the license plates off, so they have to get the title for sure in their name and buy new tabs. So they're going to have some expense too to get a new license.
So My amendment was because I had heard the figures in our work session that we were talking $500 or $600. So can you just explain what the city's expenses were? If we're only talking $21, I'm not sure it's worth the paperwork to do it, but the figure that we were given that the city had paid was between $500 and $600. So what is that figure for?
What ended up happening is when the trailer was picked up, it was not licensed. So Ms. Thompson had to go through the licensing process. That was a bit over $200 to go through that whole paperwork piece of getting a title for it. So that cost more than the license. The license then was $21, as she just stated. Then on the way back, they had a flat tire, so we had to put a new tire on it. And when it had a flat tire, it damaged the hitch, and so we had to put a new hitch on it. So those total costs, I believe, Mr. Meskey said was $547. I knew it was between $500 and $600, so that's where the expenses came in.
I'll withdraw my amendment.
I'll withdraw my second.
Motion's been withdrawn for the motion and the second. So now we have a motion on the table to donate the tiny house to friends, or neighbors to friends, and that the city staff would work on the paperwork to make that happen. Additional discussion. Roll call.
Councilmember Fagerly,
Aye.
Maskey,
Aye.
Schwantes.
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Plowman,
Aye.
Osmus,
Aye.
Alvarado.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
That resolution passes. Next is the consent items. Ms. Thompson.
On tonight's consent agenda, we have council's approval, the city council meeting minutes of January 7th, Wilmer Municipal Utilities Board minutes of January 14th, application for exempt permit from the Prairie Lakes chapter of the Rocky Mountain Elks Foundation, a resolution approving application and acceptance of Wilmer Area Community Foundation grant if awarded for the Wilmer Bike Share Program, a resolution for acknowledgement of donations received October 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2018, which are as follows. $1,000 from Quick Trip to the Fire Department for gas detection, monitor, and gloves. $1,000 Quick Trip to the Police Department for programs for safety and education. $1,000 from Mills Automotive Group to the Fire Department for gas detection, monitor, and gloves. $2,000 from Walmart Supercenter to the Police Department for the Shop with a Cop program. $8,598.70 Wilmer Firefighters Association to the Fire Department for fire equipment and batteries, and $500 Beverly Falk to the Wilmer Fire Department to purchase general equipment. A resolution amending professional services agreement with Bolton and Mink, approval of the city planner job description updates, approved certification of tax forfeited properties, approved purchase of backup generator for fire station, application for appointment as a member to the Airport Commission of Cody Miller. For council's acceptance, the Human Rights Commission minutes of November 20th, the Wilmer Lakes Area CVB Board minutes of December 18th, Police Department statistics for the month of December, Fire Department statistics for the month of December, and the accounts payable report for January 1 through the 16th of 2019.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the consent items as presented. Councilmember Schwantes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to pull I, the request to approve the purchase of the backup generator for the fire station.
Okay. Councilmember Nelson.
I would like to pull H, just to review the process and what we are doing with that certification.
With the exception of H and I, is there a motion to approve? There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the Councilmember Osmus.
I would like to.
You guys are moving around and mixing me up. Hopefully I'll be better after tonight. I apologize to the staff and to the public.
I would like to pull B, Municipal Utilities Board minutes, just for a comment, and the Police Department statistics, also just for a comment.
Okay, so with the exception of Items B, H, I, and M. Anything else? Motion been made and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Metzke,
Aye.
Schwantes,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Plowman,
Aye.
Osmus,
Aye.
Alvarado,
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
That resolution passes. Next, we'll start with Councilmember Osmus, Wilmer Municipal Utilities Board Minutes of January 14th.
I just wanted to make a comment about the reports talking about how much the turbines were available in the month of November, and I just wanted to point out it was 99.8% on number 3 and 97.2% on number 4, and then back in September, it was 97.2% and 97.8%, and I think everybody always comments when they're not moving and thinks that we're not getting any electricity off of them. And I just wanted it made public that they're up, they're running, they're doing good, and that they're also not anticipating any major repairs on them or having issues with them in the near future because of the regular maintenance that's being done by the Wilmer Municipal staff. And I just wanted that noted.
Thank you, appreciate that. Next is Councilmember Nelson, approval of the certification of tax forfeited properties. And I think your question would go to Ms. Thompson.
Yes. Just a clarification of what that process is and why we need to do this or what it is. So,
Per statute, when properties aren't paying their taxes, if they haven't paid their taxes for 4 consecutive years, the county has the right to processes as tax forfeited properties, where the property is transferred to the state. The county handles the property for the state, and then they have the option to sell those at a public auction.
so our certification of this is just saying we approve of this process, or?
It's a formality where the council approves or authorizes the county to sell these properties at public auction. The other option we would have is, let's see, if conveying a property to the city for public use, we could also purchase them for ourselves for public use. Otherwise, we're authorizing the county to sell these at their public auction.
I just wanted to also mention those funds are brought to the county, but then they're given to the city of Wilmer. So it's, I had an inquiry myself about this, and my understanding is the state is the one that brings about the action. The county actually does it, and then the money is sent to the city of Wilmer. We pay off any assessments or anything that's left on the property, and then the new property owner who buys it at the auction will now take over any property taxes going forward.
Okay. So we've had the opportunity to make a decision that we don't want these, or someone has reviewed them with that, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
The county.
I'll enter the approval of item H, approval of certification of tax forfeited properties.
Second.
Is it all right if we just wait and do them all at the same time at the end?
I thought we had to do each one. Okay.
Do B.
I was just going to do them all at once, but if that's okay, because I didn't do Julie's.
All right, that's fine.
Next is Councilmember Schwantes.
Thank you. The reason I pulled this, just so the public knows, it's for a backup generator. The cost of replacing that is $23,950. I have no problem with replacing it given the current condition of it. When we talked about this at the work session, we had not yet determined a source of the funds for this project, and I just wanted to ask if that had been identified yet, where that $23,950 was going to come from. So has the source of funds been identified?
Mr. Okins or Fire Chief, go ahead. Chief Hansen?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Okins and I did have a meeting this morning, and we did identify two possible sources. One, my recommendation is taking the money from the capital improvement budget this year for the auto extrication equipment and spending the $23,000 on from that, and then taking the leftover funds and seeing what we can purchase for the equipment that way.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay. Next, back to Councilmember Osmus.
Okay, on the police report, I've got two things. I was looking at some of the statistics, and I just saw that burglaries were up considerably. We had 8 reported in 2018 as compared to 1 in 2017. And I was just wondering if Chief Felt had any comments on that or anything that the public should be aware of.
Chief Felt.
Thank you, Councilmember Osmus. I did review those statistics at the request of Councilmember Osmus, and most of those burglaries that happened, it went from 1 last year to 8 in December of this year, appeared to be at vacant residences. So either the homes had no one there, they were for sale, or rental property that was vacant. So I guess I would ask the public to be aware, if you have vacant homes next to yours, to keep an eye on it, call in any suspicious activity. In one of the cases, there was some considerable damage done inside the home. The others appeared to be somebody, looking for maybe temporary shelter.
Okay.
Okay. So motion has been made by Councilmember Nelson. I'm assuming you want to keep that motion?
That's fine.
And I believe the second was by Councilmember Fagerly to approve these additional items. Additional discussion. Roll call.
Councilmember Schwantes.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Plowman.
Aye.
Osmus.
Aye.
Alvarado.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
Meskey.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
And that resolution, or that motion and resolution passes as well. Next, we're to the item of open forum. Mr. Bobinos. Will you just identify whether you reside in the community or outside of the community?
Good evening, Mayor. Bob Enos, 905 Trot Avenue, Southwest in Wilmer. I see on the consent agenda that one set of meeting minutes is as recent as January 14th. I bring that up to say that the City Council retreat took place on the 11th and 12th. I gather that probably means you don't have minutes available yet. So we can add that absence of minutes to the absence of a legal ad, the absence of posting of agenda and materials, no videotaping offered by the city, and now we have no minutes. You all received probably my video that I produced in conjunction, well, not in conjunction, with the benefit and with the use of the studio, Rec 8. Very helpful folks you have there. It's a great service. I'm here to tell you that the feedback that I had from that video exceeded my wildest expectations. I had folks that volunteered to help me disseminate that to individual email addresses, both in Wilmer and around the state. And I can tell you today that not the file, not the link, because I know the link may maybe find an unhasty retreat sometime. The file that I downloaded and sent out now has been emailed to 6,000 people around the state, including Minnesota. That's roughly the equivalent of the total audited circulation of the West Central Tribune. So I was very happy about that. I don't think it's a testimony to my skill so much as a testimony to people's hunger for above-board, transparent government and the public's right to know. There still seem to be two issues that are that I'm picking at like a scab right now. One of them has to do with this whole concept of open meetings that I gather you spoke to earlier. I noticed in the paper that the business of open information was referred to as the Freedom of Information Act. That's actually a federal act that has no jurisdiction or application, to my knowledge, on city governmental activities. We're under the purview of the Minnesota Data Practices Act, as I'm sure that you know. The two issues that continue to concern me are adhering to the open meetings law and the transparency of communications during meetings, with particular emphasis on electronic digital media. You know, there's abundant case law that's been around since 2011 that has clearly established the fact that any communications that go on, for instance, at a city council meeting via texting, which I talked about when Charlene Stevens was here, she was addicted to the thing. What I saw at that meeting were the thumbs were flying. I'm sure that you all heard and know that that communication is subject to open meetings law and is subject to availability for public inspection. So to make sure that kind of thing happens in the future, I've given Ms. Thompson.
Thank you for your time.
Well, then you can look at the Data Practices Act request that I was going to tell you about for you and for you and for you. Thanks.
Thank you. Next will be the State of the City address by the mayor. So we'll go ahead with that. Good evening, council members, staff, and citizens of Wilmer. This evening, I would like to present the 2019 State of the City address to the citizens of Wilmer. Our future is bright, and we have many things to be thankful for. We are a blessed community. Our community is functioning in a more collaborative manner, and the council has become a better listener to the needs of all of our constituents. Last weekend at our retreat, we established priorities for 2019. These priorities include working on our local option sales tax projects, beginning construction of the new city hall in the downtown area, and continuing to work on our stormwater issues. As we look to our future, I would like to thank the Invest in Wilmer group for all of their hard work in getting our local option sales tax question passed. Matt, John, Tony, and Mary are to be commended for their vision to make Wilmer an even stronger community. They identified 6 project areas: Robbins Island, an event center, Swanson Field, athletic fields, community center, and stormwater improvements as their projects. In my opinion, these projects will start a framework that will jumpstart our revised community image. This evening, the council will adopt a process to be followed for our local option sales tax projects. We will need to work with our elected folks in St. Paul to get these projects passed for our citizens. From what I've heard, this should be done quickly and very easily. Through this process, the citizens of Wilmer have asked the city to be forward-thinking, community-minded, and are giving us an opportunity to leave a legacy of leadership for the city of Wilmer in 2019. This is a tall task and one that I take very seriously and look forward to the community's input as we move our projects forward. Construction of a city hall with an attached city council chambers has been a vision of the city of Wilmer for many, many years. And I am pleased to report that in 2019, this will be the year that that project will move forward. Council has agreed the location should be in our downtown area, and a task force has been established this evening that will give direction to the community and the council as to where it should be constructed and how the community can be involved in the process. This will be a legacy building that will serve the citizens of Wilmer long into the future and will include the latest technology and architectural aesthetics that are pleasing to one's eye. We will have a community meeting seeking input as this project moves forward. We want to and need to hear from the citizens of Wilmer on the ideas that they have for our new city hall. In 2018, the council continued to struggle in the area of human resources, with staff changes due to retirements and addressing our ever-changing and aging workforce. I am pleased to report that our recent hires have all been rock stars. We are very blessed. We are providing visionary leadership to the city of Wilmer with our new hires. We continue to have job openings in various areas across the community, and I encourage citizens to look at the job board for the city of Wilmer and apply for the positions in which they're qualified to help assist the city of Wilmer move forward. Our employees continue to be our strongest assets, And I want to give a shout out to all city employees as they have worked under very strenuous conditions over the last 2 years. Our goal is to continue to be the employer of choice, and we as a council still have a ways to go to make this a reality. Having a community that is open and welcoming to our diverse community continues to be a strong point for the city of Wilmer. When we look at the improvements made by our neighborhood and regional parks, there is great optimism for things to do in Wilmer. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the many groups that have assisted in helping with Robbins Island and the awesome community asset it has become. Wilmer Fest brought Celebrate the Light of the World to Robbins Island, and Chad and Angie Kuzman, along with the many volunteers, have my utmost respect for making this project happen. They worked tirelessly so we could each enjoy these Christmas lights. The improvements in our park system are numerous, and I'm sure that you all have enjoyed them as my family and grandchildren have as well. So as we look at major accomplishments for 2018, our biggest came in the area of transitioning our regional health care from Rice Hospital to Cares Health. The decision by this council last year will have a long-lasting positive effect to a regionally provided healthcare system within our community. Another long unsettled project was the Eagle Lake Sanitary Sewer ownership. And this council again last year handled that, and it is now owned by the city of Wilmer. This all happened in the fall of 2018, and the change will allow for the citizens of Eagle Lake to be serviced by the Wilmer Sanitary Sewer System long into their future and our future. The local option sales tax passing with over 60% support of the voters will allow improvements to the city in the neighborhood of $30 million. This is no small undertaking for a community of our size, and I urge each and every one of you to become involved in one of the goal areas of your interest by providing input and leadership in one of these 6 community projects. Our economic development engine continues to fire on all cylinders, and this is evident by the growth that we have seen in our industrial park and other commercial projects throughout our community. I believe last week, Mr. Peterson announced that over $35 million was invested into our community last year. We continue to use tax increment financing to bring projects forward that otherwise would not have been fiscally feasible. I would like to point out that our tax increment financing allows for a developer to capture the tax advantage on the new value of their project while still allowing the city to receive the current tax value from the TIF district. Housing continues to be a major concern, and I receive frequent calls from people looking for housing ownership or rental. Wilmer has not had a new multifamily development in the past 10 years, and I am pleased to report that we have our first multifamily project, 15th Street Flats, under construction as we speak. The Vision 2040 Housing Group has worked diligently to bring a multitude of ideas to the table for council consideration and allows developers to have a vetting source prior to making the project public. I have heard from many developers that they like this process and feel it adds value while streamlining the process for them. They have then had the public feedback on a project before it is brought to the council and the city for consideration, so they can fine-tune it and make it better. It is also a pleasure to report that we had no tax forfeited lots in the city of Wilmer at the end of 2018. We changed that just a little bit ago. So I had to kind of tweak this a bit. A huge thank you to Compton Construction and Kuzman Construction for purchasing the properties in Oslo Meadows and bringing in new housing units to that community. As I conclude, Wilmer's future is bright, and we have many things to be thankful for as we look to 2019 and beyond. I want to thank the citizens of Wilmer for their support and continued investment in making Wilmer a strong community. Our community is stronger today because of the public input we have received from our citizens, and I look forward to hearing from you as we work to make our community even stronger. Thank you for allowing me to serve as your mayor. God bless America, and God bless the city of Wilmer. Thank you. Next, we're to item number 701 on the agenda. I think we're right on time. So, Mr. Peterson.
Mayor Kelvin, members of the council, this is really a housekeeping item to finish up, to provide for the next phase of development out on the east side of town. There's a small section of street that exists within the old Elm Lane Trailer Park, and we need to finish the vacation of that portion of street so the purchaser of that property can file a new plat and provide for what I believe will be some exciting development out there beginning this year. So pretty simple. I would simply ask the council to adopt the ordinance, assign it a number, and publish it.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adopt the resolution, assign it a number, and publish it. Discussion.
Public hearing?
I'm sorry. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak to the item? Seeing and hearing none, I'll close the public hearing, bring it to the council. I apologize. We have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution, assign it a number, and publish it. Discussion. Roll call.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Plowman.
Aye.
Osmus.
Aye.
Alvarado.
Aye.
Fagerly. Maskey.
Aye.
Schwantes.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
That resolution passes. Next is consideration of change order number 2 for the Civic Center ice replacement. Mr. Okins.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, before you in your committee action form, there is a change order number 2 for the Civic Center ice system replacement project. This change order, as you see there, is in the amount of $21,191. It is for relocating the east wall door to the north for the building. Also to modify the plumbing as required by the state of Minnesota plan review. This will allow and enable the staff out there to more quickly fill the Zamboni for resurfacing of the 2 arenas. It is also replacing the existing RO water piping, which is part of that refilling of the Zamboni. Adding reinforcing due to existing building for the footing size. Additional R2 refrigerant needed for the condenser relocation. Additional space heating required due to the scheduled delays for the gas relocation and plumbing plan review. These improvements were requested by city staff and is before you. There is dollars available in the contingency for the project budget, so there is no need to amend the budget at this time. But staff's recommendation is to approve the change order as submitted, and I will be happy to try to answer any questions, as this is for City Engineer Christensen and Park and Rec Director Baumgarten, who had conflicts for tonight's meeting.
I'd move to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the consideration of change order number 2 in the amount of $21,191. Discussion. Councilmember Nelson.
I looked at the documents that follow. Some say change order 1, change order 4. I was just, are they all relating to, if we added all of them up, do they total the figure that's in there, or do you know they're from different locations? And
the field order numbers are all consolidated in the recommended change order. If you're referring to the field order number 4 and field order or change order request number 3.
Okay, so if we added all these up, they total that figure? Is
That's
that what you're
correct.
saying? Okay, thank you.
Additional discussion. Roll call.
Councilmember Nelson.
Aye.
Plowman.
Aye.
Osmus.
Aye.
Alvarado.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
Maskey.
Aye.
Schwantes.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nays.
That resolution passes. Next is consideration of unique opportunities final plat. Mr. Peterson.
The Mayor and Council, the plat before you this evening is the final plat for the unique opportunities development. That's the Herzog apartment project on North County Road 5. The plat consists of 9 lots. 4 lots are for the apartment buildings, 4 lots are for parking and parking garages, and then there was 1 outlot that will serve to provide a dedicated access to all of the properties within the plat. All the conditions of the preliminary plat have been adhered to. with the exception of one, and that's that the declarations and covenants have yet to be submitted, and the park dedication fee is going to be paid as part of the building permit, so we can move ahead with that. But I would request that the council approve the final plat with the three recommendations or with the three conditions as stated in your council agenda report.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the consideration of Unique Opportunities final plat with the analysis and recommendations that's listed in the report. Discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. That motion does carry. City Administrator comments.
No comments tonight, Mayor.
City Council members' comments. Councilmember Fagerly.
I have one. This is for the Baseball and Fast Pitch Boosters Association. They have a Dad's Belgian Waffle Feed on Saturday from 8:30 to 11:30 at Lakeland Elementary School. It's a free will offering. I don't know if Cody can get that, but waffles are good, so please attend. Money goes to a good cause.
Councilmember Miskey.
The only thing I'll mention is I mentioned to the council a while back that there was a government alliance for racial equity opportunity where we can get in their activities by actually forming a cohort of rural communities that could be used as a model to run their program across the country. And that begins on February 7th. We are looking for community partners to send a team. We have a team of up to 6 members that'll be part of that. They do have a fee to cover the meals and such because the process is going to go for 6 months. The cost of sending a 6-member team is $1,000. I'm going to ask the city administrator to put something together for that for a future meeting. But we are looking for input. A lot of the Human Rights Commission members have shown interest, but we are also been working with Bridgewater College as well as even the Goodwill, and we're still looking for other partners to put something together to form a coalition in Wilmer to deal with those types of issues. So just a heads up on that because that's coming up. Our first meeting again is February 7th down in Granite Falls.
And so you don't need any funding prior to the meeting?
I think we just have to indicate, there was an email sent to the city administrator and myself indicating our interest in pursuing it. I don't know if they wanted the financing up front, but I said we're going to be part of the process. We need to see how those partners are going to work, but there may be a request for some dollars to participate in that. So I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but they are looking for a response that we're going to participate and then the fees to follow. They had there's a lot of different organizations that will be part of that. And so they did have, if you showed economic hardship, some abilities to not have to pay that full amount, which I don't think would apply to Wilmer, but it lets me know they're not looking for it for that February meeting. So we'll be able to report more back on what the expenditure side of it is. But I don't want to get really into the expenditure side because I think it's an excellent opportunity that's going to be great for community building and serving as a model again for how their program would be rolling out to rural areas across the country. So far it's been major cities like Los Angeles and Chicago, Minneapolis, so on, but we are the model that they're doing as this cohort. So I think it's fairly exciting, and the Human Rights Commission members were very excited about it as well.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Schwantes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Couple of items. In our consent agenda item, we had approved changes to the city planner job description in which we added the Main Street into her position description. I want to compliment Sarah Swedberg, even though she is not here to hear it tonight, on the job that she is doing with Main Street. At the work session, I shared with you a new program that we're kicking off for retailers to teach our retailers in Candy, Ojai County, some workshops for them. After our meeting last week, Sarah notified us that we received a $6,000 grant from Main Street to be able to put towards this program, which is really fantastic. It allows us to deliver it at a more at a very reasonable rate and such. But I just think that she's doing a fantastic job with it. I think that we've made a really good investment with Main Street, and I would hope that we continue to support that program and have it within the city. So the second item that I'd like to note is we moved to approve a grant for the Wilmer Bike Share Program, and it caused me to think of the Bethesda Bike Program that had been presented here before the council several months ago. And it was my understanding we were going to have that project come back to the council in December, I thought it was, for the city's support of that grant. And I was just wondering where that particular project is. So if we could have an update from staff, whether it's emailed out or whatever, but just to get an understanding of where that program is at.
Well, that explains the email we got this afternoon from Mr. Holland. Mr. Holland sent one out this afternoon. I was kind of wondering where that came from. So
okay. And what did it, I obviously was in meetings this afternoon and did not read my emails.
The shortest way to put it is that they'll be reapplying. They have that on their agenda. They're going to be meeting here within the next 2 weeks, and that those applications are due, I believe, at the end of March. And so they've got that all lined up, and so they're on track.
Very good. That's a great program. Happy to hear that. Thank you.
And then the other thing I think it said is that the person at Bethesda has changed, so there's somebody new there. So, Councilmember Davis.
I'll pass.
Councilmember Alvarado.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to encourage all those people watching us on television to get involved with Wilmer's future. There's opportunities. The mayor mentioned it in his city address tonight. Please, please, please get involved. Give us some guidance. Take leadership of your community. Thank you.
Councilmember Osmus.
I'll pass.
Councilmember Paulman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Feels like we're in the dead of winter, but this is actually an exciting time for me because this is when all the planning begins and the traction really starts to move forward in terms of strategic planning and turning that strategic planning into actual work. We're hearing, while we had our own strategic planning session a while back, the EDC will be meeting in the upcoming future for another strategic planning session. There are businesses that are strategizing locally and in the area, and exciting things are being talked about around the community. And it's a really exciting time. So like I said, it feels like it's the dead of winter and like nothing's going on, but this is actually the time when all the plans are being made for what's going to transpire in 2019. I think it's going to be an exciting year, so we should keep our heads high, hunker down, stay as warm as we can in the meantime.
Thank you. Councilmember Nelson.
Thank you. I will be attending the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities Legislative Action Day next week on Thursday. I believe Mr. Okens is going also. We got an email today, I think everyone should have, that Governor Walz is actually going to be there for lunch. There is still time to sign up for that if anyone is interested in attending that. And also, I was just going to comment that Councilmember Davis and I did listen to the webinar that the League of Minnesota Cities did on legislative priorities for 2019. It was helpful. We missed part of it due to technical kinds of things, but we caught up with it afterwards and checked out a couple of websites too. And so it was worthwhile to see what the league is working on also. So anybody else wants to go? Be great to be there.
Okay, anything else for the good of the order? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We're adjourned.
Just remember, everyone, to stop here to sign
Everybody needs to sign
documents.
with Judy before.